that up in detail, didn't they? What else do we need to do here?
Are you going to bring up how Cron lost their NBC affiliation?
Yes.
I heard a rumor a long time ago, and I never followed it up, so I'm interested.
Oh, okay. The Wikipedia page I just looked at it is about 1.5 miles long, so
I'm sure you'll cover it, but
I can give you the broad outlines.
is the gist that they kind of like screwed over NBC with like commercials or something like that?
No, I think they overreached. The young broadcasting that bought the station thought that they would just automatically renew their NBC affiliation, and NBC didn't. They imposed conditions so stringent that Young wouldn't go for it. So then they thought, well, we'll make it an independent station, but they've never been able to make a go of it because it's so hard to be a non-affiliated independent.
Are the regulations more stringent than NBC's other affiliates?
It wasn't regulations. It's a deal, right? You're signing a contract between businesses, right? Yeah. So it was. They basically NBC demanded everything they would have gotten had they actually managed to buy the station. So NBC got everything that they would have gotten had they managed to buy the station. Imagine you're competing with another buyer to get something that you want. Somebody else actually buys it, but then somehow you're so powerful you can reach in and say, well, if you still want what I can offer you, you're going to have to give me everything that you would have had to give me had I bought it. So it just turns into like a deal so bad that Young couldn't take it. But see in a sec.
Is that why it seems like they're funding themselves with all the local merchandisers, allowing them airtime?
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
What KQED does with their fundraising and whatnot?
Well, KQED has a lot more, they can sustain themselves through sponsorships and grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, versus Cron is, it has to make money and selling commercials, local commercials, so that's why
and Joel Osteen
what you see.
On Sunday.
Well, the other problem is you don't have any network. You do have something called My Network, which is a secondary network made by Fox, right? But it's mostly reruns or secondary shows off of the Fox schedule. So first of all, did everyone here do the quiz? Y'all did? Yes? So everybody did the quiz. All right, because there's a few people who haven't done the quiz, and they should talk to me if they haven't done the quiz, including streaming people who should realize there was a quiz. Okay, so I can't remember. I've graded all the quizzes. I can't remember if I posted the results into the grade book. Did anyone see any results?
Yeah.
You did? Okay, so I posted the results into the grade book. Good. So we will review the answers. I don't know. If we review the answers while we're streaming, no one else could do the quiz. So that's something I have to figure out. JP?
Yeah, me too.
Missing, so that means I didn't enter in all the grades yet. Okay, so that's but I haven't.
I saw the grade for mine, but it still just says missing.
Yeah.
I suppose then it would be expecting to see an online submission, like the people who sat at home and did the quiz at home. Because I can't set it up as a hybrid, basically. So you have a grade, that's awesome. So I did enter in all the grades, but because it's an online assignment to start with, then I guess it says missing because you didn't actually take the test online, you took the test on paper. But your grade goes in anyway. But I guess we can't, I suppose I could email and try to find out how to get rid of the missing message. That's something to do, actually. Missing message. Okay, that's cool.
Oh, and the media diary stuff, I still haven't gotten a grade for it.
Yours went in this morning at 9:30 about, but there's still 5 or 6 that I haven't done.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
The thing that we're going to do today took me about 6 hours of time that I feel was not very well spent. I hope you enjoy what we're going to do today. But it took an enormous amount of time to not only find the data, which requires ratings data, but also to put it into a form which would be readable on paper, and because most of it is produced for screen reading. In other words, you'll get a page which is meant to be zoomed in on with tons of information on it. So we'll do our best with what we're doing today, which is the in-class assignment TV programming, where we're going to try to think like TV programmers and use a few simple concepts that have been used for decades to promote audience and audience retention in synchronous television broadcasting, which is still a thing, still a big business. So we'll do that after a few kind of preparatory comments and stuff. And so this thing that I handed out, Mason, you want to grab one of these? This will be useful when we do the in-class assignment TV programming. For those who are joining us by streaming, you can find this by clicking on the assignment here. And I inserted into today's chat also a link to a PDF so those of you who are streaming, when we get into doing the in-class assignment, you guys can do it through chat, and that'll be your basic document to work on. So there we go. I see Nika's there and Pierre is there. Anybody else who's streaming, you should be in chat and saying hi, because you'll be doing something in chat today, hopefully, unless the whole thing goes down, which Corey tells me Canvas was down this morning. So let's hope it stays functional for what we want to do.
This is today or next class?
This is today right now, yeah. All right. What's up, Richard? They're watching us. They're listening to us, we hope. Say hi to your friends. Cool. Okay. So we promised a few preparatory remarks. First of all, was from last class, we talked about, we were going to talk about the story of Cron, which is the local NBC affiliate. And here's the Wikipedia page, and you can fact check me on all of this if you want. Obviously, I don't have an enormous background here.
Malcolm.
Yes.
I ran by the Cron 4 building
on Van Ness
on my run, and because we had been talking about it last class, I looked, and like every plant or every window has a dead plant in it.
Yeah. They've moved from there. They now share studio space with KGO down at the Embarcadero. They have another floor, which for competing broadcast channels is an interesting arrangement.
Awkward.
But it was
Okay.
like they left without pose.
Well, yeah. So the story, as far as I know it, and I'm looking in here and I'm seeing already, I didn't realize that Young had declared bankruptcy a while back. There's more to this story that I'm not even fully aware of now, but so take this for what it's worth and read up on Wikipedia for more if you want to go through that book there. But so basically what happened was Cron was one of the original network affiliates that was licensed before even the freeze in 48. So they were the NBC affiliate, and Cron was connected to the San Francisco Chronicle, right, which was a Hearst property. Eventually, the station was bought by the DeYoung family of the DeYoung Museum in Golden Gate Park, so people with lots of money, and they wanted to sell it at the, around 2008, 2009. And at that time, NBC was aggressively trying to buy the affiliate stations in local markets, in the big local markets. So as we said, by definition, affiliate stations are usually privately owned, and they sign a contract with a network like NBC to clear all of NBC's programming, right? So you would write a contract, and we will be your affiliate. We promise to show all of your programming. And for a while in the early days of broadcasting, the network would even pay the affiliate station to clear their programming. That has disappeared. In fact, in some cases, CBS is demanding of their affiliates that they actually pay CBS because of all that expensive sports programming. But what happened to Kron was that the DeYoung family put it up for sale. NBC was aggressively trying to buy it for somewhat less than $1 billion. I think it was like in the 800 million or something like that. You can check on Wikipedia. And at the final hour, the Young Broadcasting, which is an East Coast station ownership group, bid better and so made a better offer than NBC. The thing is, an affiliate station is not worth anywhere near as much if it's no longer an affiliate. And I think this is probably Young misjudged what would happen once the sale went through. NBC was made extremely harsh demands on Young to continue the affiliation agreement. For instance, they required that Young brand the station with an NBC brand. So in addition, they required that Young pay a large amount of money every month to clear the NBC content. So basically, Young found itself in the position of like, well, we'll own the station, but it's just about the same as if NBC had actually managed to buy it. We're going to have to, write a huge check to NBC every month in order to get the NBC programming. So they decided they would go it alone, which was a very difficult proposition, because in broadcasting, we will see in the slides of this week when we actually dig through them, the largest share of income goes to network affiliates because they have the big shows that particularly older audiences still want to watch. If you're not a network affiliate, then you're an independent station, and independent stations have the biggest challenges because they don't get, heavily promoted network content. They have to do all their own promotion. They have to fill in all those broadcast hours with shows that they have acquired elsewhere. Or, as you see with Kron, they produce a lot of it themselves because they have a big news team, and news is the cheapest thing to produce. Every local station has to produce local news. So Kron just beefed up their local news production, and it fills something like 6 or 8 hours a day now on Kron versus 3 on a 3 or 4 in a regular network affiliate. So that's what they had to do. Now that's a real challenge. Kron basically just was laying people off like crazy because Young was never making enough money to justify the like 800 million or so dollars that they paid for the station. And for instance, the person who designed this room when this building was under construction was at one point was Kron's chief broadcast engineer. So Maya left, and she came over to our department, and she was our chief engineer for a few years until she retired. And I think she did this room, and she did a lot. We have a high definition TV studio over there too, so it was great for us. But many people left. We had a visit last semester from a woman who works at ESPN over on the East Coast, and she came from Kron as well. So it goes way back. So a big mistake to do what they did, I guess.
What year did Young bet?
Pardon me?
What year did Young bet?
2008, 2009, I think it would say here. Now, 2013, acquisition by Media General announced it would acquire Young Broadcasting in an all-stock deal. So the whole station group got bought. Merged, Kron TV, the largest station owned by Media General. Media General Kron will move to the KGO TV building. And there you go. So yeah, I got to read up a little bit more about what the latest news is, but you'll find them down in Embarcadero. Media General. Yeah, there's more here about Cox. Cox Media Group, has anybody been following the news on Cox Media Group, what the story is there? They seem to be trying to outright wing Fox. I think they sense a weakness for Fox's cable news division, which is like the most massively profitable cable property out there. And since they let Roger Ailes go, and since it seems like the younger Murdochs are trying to soften the right-wing aspect of that cable network, Cox is apparently trying to do more right-wing broadcasting. So keep your eyes on that, basically, as a new source of political division in the country. so I don't know. There you go. I have friends working over at KTVU who have always said, yeah, we're a Fox affiliate, but we're not Fox News, right? Because there's Fox News, the cable channel is the real right-wing, source. Fox TV network, as you've seen, home of The Simpsons and Empire and everything else, is a regular broadcast network, and they have affiliate stations like KTVU, which are not dedicated to the Fox cable news ideology, But that could change with Cox, buying up stations and moving into that area. So, all right. Well, let's get out of that. Unless any further questions or ideas about what happened to Cron. So good. Yeah. Yeah, look up Wikipedia for those exact names and stuff, but it looks like Media Group finally bought out Young, and it's possible that Young was weakened by the whole Cron escapade. I'm not sure. That's a lot of debt to carry for an unprofitable station. I'm not sure. That happens a fair bit in broadcasting, mergers and of station groups that are weakened. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk more about programming today, and so we're jumping into at least the middle of the textbook chapter, if not a little further on. We'll try to come back and talk a bit about radio programming next class. That was the first type of thing that's the first topic that's addressed in the textbook. So we're getting into talking about television programming, which means what shows do you put on and when do you put them on. And so there are sources for programming. We're talking mostly about the network affiliates, so CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, and the CW. We're going to leave aside Univision, although it's a very important broadcaster with a lot of room for growth throughout the country. So we'll talk about it more from a business sense, but in terms of programming, because it's in another language, it's harder to compare what they're doing. So the mainstay of the TV industry is still the primetime programming that is originated by the big broadcast networks. Now more and more those are designed to live on afterwards in streaming. And your broadcast is sort of a lost leader. The first thing you're going to do is create the show, get it out there. If you've got a hit show, everyone's heard about it. And probably 10 years down the line, they'll want to stream some of it as well. So a lot of thought is going into creating more library material for later on. But prime time is where the majority of the money is spent, and the high-profile programs for the network affiliates are created. Now let's take a look. Primetime typically is said to run from 8 p.m. through to 11 p.m. You'll notice when you look at the printouts that I'll give you, Fox actually goes from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So they broadcast for an hour less each night. What do you think they do with that time?
News.
Sorry?
News.
Yes, news. They start the news earlier. So their call. Remember, Fox was the fourth network that joined ABC, CBS, NBC in these competitive waters around 1980. So Fox first began just broadcasting one night a week, where they felt that the other three big
What one night was
Sunday night, in part because ABC, CBS, NBC were weak in that night. The viewership is never that big on Sunday night, especially the weeknights are better. So they weren't throwing a lot of effort into Sunday night programming. So Fox said, well, we can set up there because it's a less competitive night. And they slowly built it out. As building it out, they also decided they would leave their affiliate stations the third hour of the typical prime time in order to either buy what they call syndicated shows, which would be reruns as we know them. So you could put syndicated shows in there if you wanted, but a lot of the Fox affiliates put their local news in there, which is actually a very profitable program. The evening news is profitable. Not on a Sunday night, but through the week, starting your news an hour early turned out to be a decent proposition, which maybe brought a few more stations over to the Fox fold, you know. Now, they also compete against cable, obviously, increasingly so. It's just too much for us to deal with to try to think of, you know, as a programmer would, who's thinking not only about how they compete against the other networks in prime time, but also how they compete against cable in prime time. But you may notice some big cable shows are also on Sunday night, which is, again, another nod to the idea that it's a little less competitive over the weekend nights because people are doing other stuff.
Question.
Yes, JP.
Like UPN, CW, and
The WB,
yeah,
right?
WB.
Right.
Did they have their did UPN and WB have any programming, like new programming at 10?
I don't know about that. You'd have to look back into their scheduling, which, by the way, Wikipedia is really good for being able to find, you know, network TV schedules. You want to go back to, you know, let's say 2006 or something like that, maybe.
2005.
I think it'll give us a list anyway of everything, so we'll see here.
That wasn't one of the.
Oh, the CW already did it. Okay, so let's go 2005. You prefer? Let's check that out.
For everybody.
So the WB.
Oh, it's local.
So local, yeah. So it looks like they were just going 8 till 10 as well. It looks like, yeah.
Terrible shows.
UPN, yeah. So as regards, I think JP is thinking about the prompt for the research term paper, which we'll talk more about next class too, but it sort of says, think about the programming strategies used by the WB or UPN or CW. You know, what are they doing? Why do you think they're doing it? Something like that in the prompt. Well, this would be an important thing to notice, that they do 2 hours a night instead of 3, for instance. I think also if you look at the intended demographic for these new networks, you know, the WB had a kind of a change of philosophy at some point. As it got more and more desperate, the programs seemed to get a little bit more, you know, racy and less family friendly. But Fox was explicitly shooting 10 years younger than anybody else, you know, than CBS, NBC, ABC. So that's another thing that you could talk about and research. Even, as I said, Wikipedia has a lot of good information on this stuff. So you could take a look at that. It's like you're competing against networks who their average viewer is in their 50s or something. So doesn't that suggest a strategy, you know? Right. So more on that next class maybe, but good job. Yeah. So we found that out, at least on the fly, which is great. Seasons get shorter, much shorter. Seasons also, typically nothing ever launched in the summer season. Now the summer season is a viable time to launch a show. You know, through decades of broadcasting, it would be the fall season starts just after Labor Day, and you'll run episodes right through into the spring sweeps, they call them, which are ratings, special ratings periods. But over the last, it's about 15 years. Again, Fox was a pioneer in this. They would start things out during the summer. There are now late starts that happen. There are starts and stops. So you'll air the first 6 or 8 episodes, and then you'll give 2 weeks off, and then you'll come back with some more. And so there can be all kinds of different strategies now to split up a season. But broadcasters still talk in terms of seasons. And so we'll be seeing now the fall season will be beginning next week, probably. Most of the launches are out there. Again, Wikipedia is pretty good on this. I'm not going to try to get off my PowerPoints now that I've managed to make my way back to them, but check out Wikipedia for the current season. It'll tell you what all the returning shows are, what the new shows are, how they've been slotted into spots, which is a little bit about what we are going to look at in a sec. And the other thing is, as we know, those new shows will come out, and at least half of them will be canceled. Some of them within 3 or 4 episodes, they'll be canceled. And there are mid-season replacements already ready to go in. So they're already planning on many of those shows flopping. Gino?
Isn't that almost every show on Fox that gets canceled?
I don't know the stats. I don't know the stats about how that was going. But there's a very famous Fox exec who has moved on to another company, and I won't remember his first name is Kevin. I can't remember his last name. But he was arguing precisely based on that type of performance, I guess. But he was saying the pilot, the whole system that we have of creating over 100 pilots, pilot shows for network series, and then we look at all those pilots and we decide whether they're going to be any good, and we put a bunch up and they fail, so then we bring out what we thought were our second best. It's an incredibly inefficient way of creating television, and Fox was saying perhaps we're just going to do away with pilots. We're going to create orders for shows, and we're just going to put them on, and that's it. Because there's a lot of ideas that maybe it takes longer than 3-4 episodes for an audience to catch on, and so they'll quickly cancel shows, and people who like those shows will say, well, you should try and let it build, So that's an argument against the usual practice, which is to create a bunch of pilots, throw them up there. If they don't do well right out of the gate, you cancel a lot of them, and you throw up a second bunch, and then at the end of that, you sort of see, well, what's going on. And then they do what they call burning episodes in the summer, which is when things are quiet and you have all those extras that were canceled. You play them during the kind of downtime of the summer just to get rid of them, because you paid for them. They're in your group of shows, but you just get rid of them. So it's a very wasteful process, and there's a bunch of different ideas about how to go about doing things better. And some might just be get together your trusted creatives and give them a chance. Say, okay, we're going to order a full show from you, and we're going to keep it up there and hope it finds an audience. Another strategy is Amazon, right? They actually they put up the ideas for the pilots, and they say, okay, Amazon Prime people, tell us which one you think will be good. Then they'll put up the pilots, and they'll say, okay, what do you think is good? And then they'll greenlight some of those shows supposedly based on that. Sandra?
All of the original Netflix and original Hulu series don't seem to follow that model really.
Of course, yeah.
They're kind of like all or nothing. Do you think that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They don't have the money for it, or?
Well, Netflix seems to have limitless money. Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, that's more of an HBO model where they will go with a particular creator and say, okay, we like this. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And Netflix is, they don't have to compete on a weekly basis against other shows. They'll throw, 8 or 10 episodes up, or maybe a whole season,
I guess
and let people go in. Yeah. So it's, but it has totally shaken everything up.
The thing is like advertising with that stuff, because then I read something that was people who say they're invested into a TV show that's 30 minutes long. As soon as the commercial hits, they'll switch a channel. Maybe they don't come back because they've already switched. And I know that advertising, it puts you out of, say you're watching a drama or something that's serious. A commercial will take you right out of that. It just breaks, bad edit, and you're out of it.
Yeah.
So when you're watching Netflix and you're watching stuff where you can just go in, you can pause it when you want and go to the bathroom or go get something to eat. It's not a commercial. It's not an ad that takes you out of it.
Right.
I think that's a big thing with TV. People don't want to watch advertisements. It's terrible.
Possible. Yeah. People are skipping the ads, so that's
Even-
getting us.
I mean, people say it, but nobody wants to watch it. They just want to watch the game.
That's
you know?
all I watch the Super Bowl for.
Yeah, that's right.
Like football.
But those are particular, right? Thing is, with a game, it's happening in real time, so you're going to have to put up with the ad if you want to stick with the game. And there's, you know, if you look up that change, you know, as people are skipping the ads, broadcasters are moving towards, you know, let's do a, you know, a one-off big event, a live show, a musical or an award show or a sporting event. All of those will bring in double-digit millions of people watching, which is extraordinary for this day and age. And they'll do that in order to keep the profile of broadcasting high enough. You know, they like to be able to tell advertisers, yeah, but on one night we got like 100 million people. You know, nobody else can do that, and it's true. So they're going to keep doing that type of thing. But there's only specific types of programming which will lend themselves to that type of thing. But yeah, and then there's a whole rash of reboots, like Roseanne's coming back. A lot of nostalgia series are being rebooted again. That's another thing that they're trying. Okay, so now we get to the meat of today, which is as those networks they compete with each other in prime time. So they create programming and they schedule shows against each other to try to get audience to both join them at the beginning of the evening and stick with them for the whole evening. Now, we do a lot of zapping now, and I think that broke their hearts when we were able to just get a remote control and zap around. But there's still, you know, all of this stuff is very carefully tracked by the Nielsen company with their set-top boxes who do the ratings for television. So they spend an enormous amount of energy on trying to get accurate ratings about who's watching for how long. And the network kind of lives and dies by those ratings, the network television business. So they're competing with each other to get the best possible ratings out of those shows that they're scheduling. And they're doing a number of things to keep that going. So our topic for the next little while, we're going to try to work on stuff on this, is the strategies of television programming. So we're in prime time, and we're looking at a finite number of broadcast networks that are competing with each other. And on the first page of the handout are definitions related to these concepts here. So these concepts are what we're talking about and hopefully using today. They're actually quite visual in terms of metaphors about what's going on in television programming. And the idea is, if you just flip over the page to an example here on page 2, these are ratings from 2 nights of broadcasting. One in sorry, not 2 nights. This is a week, May 14th, the week starting May 14th, and the week starting September 26th. So, and I can explain to you why this stuff is so old, but basically it's very hard to get this data arranged in this way, which is easy enough for us to actually look and see what's going on. So as you look across this, and people who are in chat, I put a link up to this document as well, so you can find this in chat. You see that the networks ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox are kind of columns here, and the broadcast days are there. And you can see, for instance, if I'm looking at the top left of the week, May 14th, I'm looking at ABC Monday night. The figure there is 11.97. That's the average number, a million viewers that watched ABC on that night. And as I look down, I can see that the night began at 8 o'clock with Dancing with the Stars, which had 15.79 million viewers, and continued on with The Bachelorette at 9 o'clock. 9:30, thanks, I can't even see stuff, The Bachelorette with 8 million or so viewers, right? So are we all on the same page? We know what those numbers are now, right? So we can look, if we look next door to that, we can see that CBS did 10.55 million viewers that night. How I Met Your Mother kicked off the evening with 8.50 something million viewers, and it moved on to 2.5 Men, Mike and Molly, and then Hawaii Five-0. So unfortunately, I don't have this stuff for this season because Daily Variety no longer publishes, and whatever. I did try. You can still get all this information, but you can't get it displayed in this way, which is essential for us to make some sense out of things. So now we know how to read the ratings data that's up here. Let's just talk about some of these programming strategies. So let's see. Let's talk about leading in. So leading in is, by definition, starting the evening with a strong performing show so that afterwards, hopefully your audience will stay with you later on. So it says, leading in, the idea is to grab a viewer's attention with a very strong program, anticipating that they will watch the popular show and then stay tuned to the next program on the same channel. So if you look at ABC, right, starting with Dancing with the Stars with 15 million viewers, is that's your winning show for Monday night, right? That had far and away the largest number of viewers for Monday night. So you could look at that as a strategy of leading in, right? Because after that, you lead into The Bachelorette. So the idea is that you put a strong performing show first up and that you start your evening off that way and people stay with you. Leading out makes sense, right? The other thing that you can do is you can put a strong performing show later in the schedule, maybe at the end of the primetime period, and people will join you a little earlier to watch that show. So they may drop in the show that comes just before it. So in a second, I'll ask you to check this stuff out to look for examples of maybe leading in, leading out. But let's talk about a couple of other strategies. Tent polling. Tent polling, if you think of a tent pole as being a tall thing that holds up to smaller things, like a tent, right? You could have show number 1, show number 2, show number 3. So your tent pole show number 2 has great ratings, and hopefully it pulls up the ratings of the show that come before it and afterwards. So you'll see sometimes a network will start off a show, they might use it leading in at some point, but then they look at that evening season later and they say, wow, Dancing with the Stars does really well. Our other stuff is not so great on that night. Let's move Dancing with the Stars in a little bit and tentpole with it. So let's use the great rated show to prop up the other two. Now, who can guess what a hammocking is?
2 popular shows in an unpopular or new show.
Right. So hammocking, exactly, JP. So you've got 2 well-rated shows, and you've got something that you want to promote, probably a new show. Why not schedule it in the middle there? So people will tune in to watch this show, and they'll probably anticipate watching this show, so they may stick around through this. And by the way, the ratings are taken every 15 minutes in 15-minute segments. So even if you hang around 5 minutes after the end of show number 1, you'll be counted as watching show number 2, which is wonderful. They don't have to get you to watch the whole thing. As long as they get you to watch 5 minutes of the beginning of it, or maybe 5 minutes at the end as you tune into your show, you're counted. So you're in the ratings. So that was called what? Hammocking, right? Because it looks like a hammock between 2 trees. And this is called tent poling, because it looks like a pole holding up a tent, right? So that's why they have tent poling and hammocking. All right, bridging is the idea, and this you can't tell from looking at these ratings scheduling stuff like this, because bridging is you're basically starting a show before the other one ends. All right, and you all noticed this maybe 10 years ago, this began at least 10 years ago, where one show would be ending and they kind of downsize the final credits to that show, and they'll stick in some commercials there, and the next show will start even without like any music or anything like that. It'll just jump right into the next shows and so the idea there is we don't put a commercial in there that'll make you get up and walk away and change the channel or whatever. We just bridge right into the next one. So you can't tell about bridging from this, but you can tell about blocking. So blocking is when a network decides we're going to take one type of programming and do a whole evening or a big chunk of an evening on it. You guys aware of any blocking, like current or before? Corey?
I was gonna say like it's PBS, but CBS or not CBS, NBC when they used to have like their comedy Thursday nights. It'd be, like,
Yeah.
Community, The Office, and Parks and Recreation.
Exactly.
Very similar shows.
It's half-hour sitcom block. Yeah, and Mason, and then
I was
JP.
gonna say TBS does the same thing.
They're doing the same
All
thing.
night, every night. It's just
Got you.
comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cable channels is a little different from network
Yeah,
channels.
that was the first one.
Yeah, but that's a good one though. Yeah, JP.
I was gonna say TGIT.
Okay. Thank God it's Thursday. Okay. Yep. That was definitely a branded. Yeah, and it's John. Yeah.
Fox has the Sunday night block of animated.
Yeah. Absolutely. Which looking ahead at 2017, 18, I see a sitcom in there. I'm shocked. They see.
Like all those, like all animated?
Orville, right? Or something?
It was for a while. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just trying to illustrate the idea. I'm not sure if it's going on. As I was poking around to prepare for today, I saw there was a sitcom in there towards the end of the night. But yeah, Simpsons, Family Guy, and yeah,
American Dad.
American Dad, or
Show.
what was their King of the Hill? Was that a Fox show as well?
Yeah.
It was. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I guess Adult Swim probably competes heavily with that type of thing. So maybe it's no longer what they want to do. But so that's blocking, where you decide you're going to do one type of programming for an evening, and so you create an awareness in people's minds. Oh yeah, okay, we're gonna tune into NBC on Thursday night, and NBC can then brand that with advertisers and stuff. We say we've got, we still remember the thing that they made up to describe that. Bridging, blocking, and then the last one on your list here, again, seamless is useless to us, but counter programming and head-to-head. So this is when you look at what one network is doing and you look across the evening and look at another network. And so you're basically looking at the type of show. So if I'm looking on May 14th, I'm looking at ABC, they're doing Dancing with the Stars, so reality competition. And I look over to NBC, and they're doing America's Got Talent. That's also, reality competition, right? So this is what you call head-to-head programming. This is the idea that, okay, there's an audience for this type of thing on Monday night. Maybe they're fed up with the judges on Dancing with the Stars, but they're conditioned to watch so we'll put something else up and we'll steal part of that audience. That's head-to-head. And then the other option is what CBS is doing, which is what they call counter-programming. And that's where you look at what the competition is doing. You say, oh, okay, all the reality heads, they're going to be with NBC and ABC, so we're going to do half-hour sitcoms, which is something we do really well with. So they'll counter-program. They'll do something else, okay? So that's what counter-programming is. Now, it's really easy to find on a schedule counter-programming, because basically, as long as you do something different, you're counter-programming, right? It's like everybody's counter-programming. So head-to-head programming is usually a little bit more of a remarkable thing. It's like, holy whoa, someone's actually going up against Dancing with the Stars, and America's Got Talent, they still do 10 million. That's not too bad, on that. Okay.
Yesterday, for instance, last night, they had Dancing with the Stars and So You Think You Can Dance. Both
All night
at the same
dancing.
time.
Oh, okay, they were competing against each other?
Yeah,
Okay.
an hour.
So perfect, head-to-head programming. Like dance competition type shows. With a different twist to each of them, but yeah, good enough. Sir, who are you?
Josh.
Josh, how you doing?
Yeah,
Good to see you.
sorry.
No problem. Here, I got some paper for you. It's just some people who've been streaming. I don't even know who they are, kind of. So you want one of these too, right? Okay. So as part of our in-class activity, here we go. The idea is to look through some schedules. I'd like you to get together with the people who are in your aisle, and I've got some different examples out here, and just huddle up and look for examples of these major of these concepts. So can you find any tent poling? Can you find any hammocking, leading in, leading out, blocking or counter programming head to head? So let me just put check marks where these are things.
Bars with the little white dashes, are those something to do with like commercials or something, or do they not?
Let me have a look.
They're a little random.
I think they're trying to do the time periods across. Yeah. All right. So let's give you 10 minutes to check that out. Try to apply these ideas. And so yeah, you guys are working. That's what I wanted. Okay. Yeah. So everybody in the row should be kind of working together if you can. Huddle up, discuss amongst yourselves, and I was going to check this out with the people who are in chat. Do your best. There's not always the world's greatest example.
So you just want us to like find examples of those definitions in the schedule?
Yes, exactly. So you're looking for, you're looking at the ratings and seeing, is there a huge show that starts off the evening? Then maybe that's leading in.
Just like you were saying.
I know each table has been working on their own particular stuff, but looking at this, which a handout that everybody has universally, and you guys have had that. I see Pierre, who's streaming right now, identifies on Wednesday night some head-to-head programming. So this is on the week of September 26, 2012. On Wednesday night, CBS is scheduling Survivor Philippines against Fox with the X Factor. So that would be what kind of programming there? Two programs of the same type scheduled on head-to-head, right? Head-to-head programming. Awesome. And let's see, Nika came up with something too. So if I can make this thing scroll, let's have a look here. Okay, Nika says ABC on Thursday is using Grey's Anatomy to tentpole Missing and Scandal. So if we look at ABC on Thursday night, Grey's is up at 11.79, and it's definitely pulling up Scandal. And I see, am I in the wrong season? Yeah, Missing in the first season. Ooh, yeah. So Grey's in the first, in May 14th, in the week of May 14th, Grey's is rating 11.44 million. And Missing down in the 8s and Scandal in the 7s, yeah. So I'm not sure if that was the first season of Scandal, but that's definitely tentpoling, and it's an example of how a strong show can pull up or be scheduled in advance of a weaker show. Usually they're trying to introduce the show or something, yeah. So, and you know that Shonda Rhimes produces both of those, and so she's been... it's basically a Shonda Rhimes block on ABC with Grey's, Scandal, and How to Get Away with Murder, right? Yeah. But she just signed a big deal with Netflix, so it's possible that things will change there. But she's been a really strong performer for ABC. Jenny and JP, just if you guys were working on this one, so let's keep on this one. What was your most obvious find, or something that was just really that we can all see on this one?
Wednesday on ABC and Thursday on NBC from 8:30 to 9 to 10. We had 4 sitcoms, so that's blocking.
So you saw 2 examples of blocking. Wednesday on CBS and on ABC. Sorry, Wednesday on ABC, right? And Thursday, got you, on NBC. Yes. Cool. Excellent. And I think, yeah, exactly. Look at how low that night did in the September 26th week. You had the Saturday Night Live election special, Up All Night, The Office, Parks and Rec. Okay, well that's a weird evening. That's not their totally solid block, right? Okay. Because I'm looking at some of these sitcom nights are getting 3.60 million viewers or stuff. It's incredible. Yeah, Corey?
I just want to make a comment. I was telling these guys, I've noticed all around stations like CBS have some of the higher ratings overall, but some of these shows I've never heard of. The lower rated shows on NBC, I'm like, these are all shows that are really popular, but they get low ratings. And I think it's due to, like, CBS is kind of aimed towards an older crowd.
Yes.
And NBC is trying to go for that younger crowd. So it's like these people are streaming and all that, while the other people are either watching on TV or leaving it on.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, this would be 2012, so the streaming would be much less of a thing. Again, I'm sorry that it's.
Or the DVD.
I'll show you the thing I was trying to put together with this type of data. Current, it's just like horrible. But agreed that those NBC sitcoms are more, they've lasted longer than, and they're more in the awareness of a younger demographic. I heard people up here saying, wow, NCIS rates that high? I can't believe it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's because it's people 50 and over who are watching it, And they're even starting, I mean, Dick Wolf, who's that type of producer, does these hour-long procedurals. He's launched 3 shows about Chicago or something of the similar type. So they're actually 4 shows. Thank you, JP. So they're actively putting more of that stuff on to serve an over 50 audience, But that's because, I mean, I'm reading some of your media use diaries, and some people are still watching TV, but a lot of people are not watching any TV at all. So it's like, so they're going after the people who are still watching TV, who are largely older people. Gosh, well, let's hear, so you guys had September 24th, okay, so not everybody would have that. Let me just dig that out here, in-class assignment. Thank you folks on chat, and I'm sorry if I missed some of you, but you did good work. So September 24th, let's just see what you guys were looking at.
Well, that's interesting.
Okay, so here's September, and hit us with something that you felt was significant.
I saw they did the hammocking with Made in Jersey, which is also a premiere, so I thought that was kind of...
Okay, so what night and what network would that be?
Friday night on CBS.
Friday night?
Between CSI New York and Blue Bloods. Blue
Bloods. So we can see there the hammocking side, CSI with 9.11, and Blue Blood with, fill me in here, I kept moving from 11, okay, and something weaker in between. So that's a decent example of hammocking.
We're really planning on that.
All right, any other finds, Sandra, or?
Yeah, the head-to-head between Dancing with the Stars on ABC at 8 and The Voice on NBC.
Yeah.
They're like really similar talent competition shows.
Right, 2 hours.
With high ratings.
Gotcha, yeah. And both of them have a next day, right? The Voice has an hour, but the Dancing with the Stars goes a full 2 more. So they've scheduled them on Monday and Tuesday nights. Sometimes they'll make the actual, award thing happen on the second night to get people coming back to watch it that way. So they're trying to build on the good stuff there. All right, let's head back to the next row with Corey, Gino, Olive, Josh. Did you find anything? Sorry, I have 5 more minutes. I need to give other people a chance to talk. But
I mean, basically the same thing. Dancing with the Stars and The Voice with the results shows the same night. Blocking. We had blocking.
Were you guys October 8th?
No, May 7th.
May 7th. Okay, so they're still up there doing the same thing in a different season altogether. All right.
Over here.
Yeah. All right. So Dancing versus The Voice. Yeah.
Blocking on Fox on Sunday nights with their animation.
Got you. The classic. Simpsons, Cleveland, Simpsons, Bob's Burger. I forgot about Bob's Burgers, Family Guy.
And the one I thought was interesting was NBC, was it Saturday night, where they had 2 reruns followed by a non-rerun in the middle, and that was their lowest rated show, so it was hammocking.
Interesting. Okay.
Much.
Not by
Well, yeah, those are. Yeah, I'd say that's you're not wrong because the numbers bear you out,
Right.
but it's just that's like throwing up a bunch of stuff, and it's like okay, we can't really help any of it. Yeah, I thought you were actually going to bring up something that NBC and you guys can watch this as well. There's no industry term for it, but check out where they'll do a very popular show. They'll do a rerun and then they'll do a new episode or something like that, because it turns out to be better business to do a rerun right before the show than to put something else up, which will fail. So basically, you go with your hits and you just put in more of your hits. And if you don't have new shows, you use reruns and then schedule all new show coming up. So this is the way they take a limited number of hits and stretch them out. The other thing they like about reality programming is they do what they call supersizing, which is if something is successful, they'll schedule specials. They'll make it from an hour into an hour and a half and cancel the half hour that was performing poorly before it or something. So these are the ways that they kind of try to milk the stuff that's actually working for as much as they can. Thank you guys. Let's go back to you folks next row. Did you guys see what date did you have?
May 14th.
May 14th. Okay, and what did you guys come up with? Anything exciting?
There's counter programming on Saturday night between most of the stations, but primarily ABC and Fox were going at each other with like a comic book movie versus Saturday Night Baseball.
Got you. Okay, so everybody doing something different. Amazing that baseball rated so low. Okay, but yeah, so counter programming definitely. Anything else?
So Fox did a blocking on Sunday night with all of the animated.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's a good one. We had that one, so that's a good one for sure.
And that hasn't changed either.
Yeah, as I said, I think I saw one live action sitcom in there for the upcoming season, but I'm not sure. So I was thinking, well, that's weird. I thought that was solid forever. But okay, and the back row, you guys, you had what date? Sorry?
October 14th.
October
14th.
I have an October, so May 14th? October 14th. I probably wrote it down wrong. Okay.
October 8th-14.
Oh, okay. So October 8th. Gotcha. Here we go. Boom. Happy birthday to you. And what did you guys find anything good?
Yeah, we found a lot of stuff actually. We found head-to-head with ABC and NBC with Tuesday night Dancing with the Stars and The Voice.
Gotcha. Okay.
Also, like NCIS on that time frame would be like kind of like a counter programming.
Oh yeah, for sure, because they're doing something different. As I said, just about everybody's counter programming. If they're not doing head-to-head, they're doing counter programming. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I think Saturday night for CBS, we did blocking because it was all like crime shows.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Yeah, there you go. Definitely.
Where?
Yeah, for Saturday night, NBC, CBS are all crime shows. So they're they're head to head, they're blocking.
Cool. All right. Thank you guys. So, I really have only a couple minutes left, but that was good. That was very good. There's another part to this that I'm going to leave to you as a little bit of homework. So take this away. And this actually works out really well for me because this second part has to do with creating a bundle for a cable network, all right? And I tried to print this out, and you can imagine on a little piece of paper, you can't read anything. So this is actually better done with a screen of your own. But what I'm asking you to do here is pretend you're a cable operator, and you have $11.95 per subscriber per month that you can spend on creating a cable bundle that you want to target at a particular demographic. So this is current. This is 2017. So let me explain what this is. This is, if you're a cable operator like Comcast, you have to pay a cable network a certain amount per subscriber to so that you can carry their show. So like for instance, if we look down here to Disney, we'll see ESPN, which is notorious for, so in order for Comcast to carry ESPN, they have to pay $7.86 per subscriber to Disney every month in order to put ESPN up there, all right? I see Enrique's going, whoa, that's a lot of money. Because most of these go for 35 cents, 25 cents, 19 cents, you know, $1.55 for Fox News because it's a ratings killer. It's gigantic, okay? Everybody watches, I mean, every conservative watches that. So these are the big ticket items. So what I'm saying is, I'd like you to think this through. Now you're going to do it on your own. I wanted you to do it in groups, but it takes a lot of time. But just think this through. You've got $11.95. Which of these, you can pick any of these, put these together into a coherent bundle that you can offer. So in my example, it's like my bundle is for tweens, you know, 9 to 11 years old boys. What are they going to want to watch? I'm going to pick out a bunch of different cable networks and throw them into a bundle. My budget is $11.95, okay? So I'm gonna pick as many cable networks as I can do in budget, as long as I can also explain why I think it might be of interest to like a 9 to 11-year-old kid. But you guys could go for a 60-year-old conservative and stack it with, you know, Fox and whatever else you like. Or you can, you know, so think about the demographic that you wanna target with your bundle, and then just go through here, and basically the assignment, which I'm not going to put like a heavy-duty date on it, but let's say at the end of next class or something, if we could have that worked out. So the assignment is, say, what is the theme of your package? Who's your target audience? And then from the list, pick those shows and list them. And then in a sentence or two for each show, just say, well, why did you pick like ESPN? Your bundle's for toddlers. Why do they want to watch ESPN, right? Okay, so no, your bundle, you know, that bundle will require Nick at night or something like that, or Nick during the day, whatever you can. All right, so that's your little bit of homework to finish that up, and you can turn that in at the prompt here, I guess. And if you have any questions, don't worry, I won't hit you with a late fee, but try to get it done before next class. And if you still have questions, next class I can answer those for you. Okay? Sandra?
We turn them in.
Yes, I'd say, yeah, for this. Yeah.
There's a place to. Okay.
There is, yeah. If you just look on the assignments, it says in-class assignment.
Oh, okay.
Media, where is it? In-class TV programming.
Do we turn in this stuff?
Keep that. Yeah, keep that for you guys. As long as you were attending today, make sure your name is on attendance. You get credit for this first half. Jenny, yes.
Your gift is different.
They have different ones. Yeah.
I was thinking like